Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. I'm Rishabh Gulati. Yes, over the course of the past 12 hours, we now have an emphatic election mandate that has been delivered to Donald J. Trump to return as the President of the United States of America for the second time. The Americans have chosen what is in their interest and to their wisdom through their democratic means. There is now, of course, room for a global conversation because America is and remains, despite many people wishing otherwise, since before I was born, one of the great powers, if not the only superpower. American decisions have a ripple effect all across the world. They shall continue to do so in the lifetimes of all the people we are going to be discussing this with tonight. But there are some straight questions that need to be asked from us sitting in the world's largest democracy with 4.5 times the number of votes cast in our general elections earlier this year. In a situation where the past 1 month of India's ties with Canada have gone rock bottom in unforeseen territory, with a large assumption of an Indian intelligentsia that no way in heck was Justin Trudeau doing what he's doing without the tacit assent of the Biden administration, does that change? It's a straight question. Will the Americans drop that support to Trudeau? The second straight question on your screens, is there going to be a fundamental change on Khalistani operations, secessionist operations, trying to create independent states in India who are not headquartered in India, but are headquartered in London, in Ottawa, and in parts of the United States? That is as absurd as me proposing a free Quebec sitting in New Delhi or campaigning for a free Northern Ireland sitting in Bombay. But yet it's been happening on American soil. Will that change? It's a straight question. The third straight question, which we have to look to address, and we will in the course of this conversation, will there be a reformation of ties between the US and India? Because in the last 1 month, while Justin Trudeau has been going all guns blazing, what has happened? India's Prime Minister has been attending a meeting of Brazil, Russia, India, China. He's met with Xi Jinping. He's met with Putin. Suddenly, the India-China border issue, of which tens of thousands of troops had been deployed for 4 years, are now withdrawing. That's a fundamental question. It matters. The fourth question on your screens, straightforward, direct and precise. Will Donald Trump restrict high-skilled migration from India? It's an immigration issue, but will it apply? And that's something that a lot of Indians might not be happy about. The fifth question on your screens, to understand from the Trump administration, will there be tariffs on Indian exports? India runs a positive balance of payments with America. Now, we heard of the Chinese tariffs, but will Donald Trump apply the same to India? He might not, perhaps he will. The sixth question on your screens, to put this into perspective, will Trump boost the stalled technology transfer to India? We've been talking about GE jet engines being made in India for years. It's never happened. It's a reasonable, straightforward, obvious question on where India and the United States go from here. The seventh question on your screens, and I have 3 more after this before we open up this conversation. Will Trump shift focus from Ukraine back to Chinese activities in the Indo-Pacific? China, for the first time in its history, is conducting a dual aircraft carrier exercise as we speak. It has harrowed the Philippines, Vietnam, us in India and in Taiwan and the Japanese, several of them treaty allies of the United States, but all we are talking about is what's happening in Europe and the Middle East. Will that change? Question number 8 on your screens. Of another point of change, will Trump back India's push for the Israel-Middle East corridor that runs from India, shoots through the Middle East, ends up in the port of Haifa in Israel and into the Mediterranean to counter the China's BRI project? Will that happen? Yes or no? The ninth question on your screens, will Trump back India in cornering Pakistan at the FATF? Remember, they're off the hook. This is the country that was hosting Guess who? Osama bin Laden. But they are no longer being indicted for terrorism, believe it or not. And the final question on your screens, to put this into perspective from an Indian point of view, will there be Indian Americans in high-level cabinet positions in the Trump administration?
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.